one more speaker and presentation for the evening. We're going to Francisco Ferreira, who will speak on 3 crises, 1 major solution. Francisco Ferreira is an associate professor with the Department of Environmental Sciences and Engineering of the NOVA School of Science and Technology, and a researcher in CENSE, Center for Environmental and Sustainability Research. He holds a degree in environmental engineering, a master's degree from Virginia Tech, USA, and a PhD from NOVA Lisboa. He has been developing work in the areas of air pollution, climate change, and sustainable development. He is also the president of the environmental non-governmental organization Zero, Association for the Sustainability of the Earth System. Francisco Ferreira, thank you very much for being here today. We look forward to your presentation.
Thank you, Alex. Nice to meet you all, wherever you are. It's a great satisfaction to talk a little bit about the vision that Zero has on the different crises that we feel around the planet, and this idea of finding a major solution to try and to solve these different crises. First of all, let me explain it that Zero is, as explained by Alex, it's a non-governmental organization. We're quite active in Portugal in different fields, from particularly climate change, renewable energy, but also on working on waste, biodiversity, water, and we have a lot of international relationships with, particularly within Europe. And what I will talk about is basically our vision of zero waste, of zero loss of biodiversity, of zero emissions, and therefore I hope we can have a fruitful discussion afterwards. I will try to keep to my 30 minutes total. So just to spend 25 more minutes before we head to a discussion. Okay, let me share my screen and go ahead. So I believe you're all seeing it. Okay, so I think we can identify basically 3 large causes within our planet. They are different crises, but they are all interrelated. And the first one is definitely a climate crisis, it's probably the biggest challenge for humanity in this century. And it's amazing the way that a lot of people have been talking about it and engaging, even everywhere. Yesterday, the Fridays for the Future movement had thousands and thousands of people all over the world. Even in Portugal, there were different demonstrations. Zero participated in one in Lisbon, and it was nice to hear the challenge from the Secretary General of the United Nations, who's Portuguese, António Guterres, in the opening of the United Nations General Assembly on Tuesday and the day before. He basically repeated one more time how hard uh, is for us to give a planet to the next generations that is far from what we should have done. But at the same time, we still have the chance to make a difference and to correct the pathway that we are living in if we have the political will. And indeed, we will have a conference soon in Glasgow, COP26. And he said, I'm. It's incredible how, with all the reports, including the report from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change that came out in August, that show that we already increased the temperature in 1.07 degrees from the pre-industrial era, and we need to stay below an increased temperature of 1.5. And the numbers that he gave, based on the last national determined contributions. So basically, the target set by each country is that we are on the pathway to plus 2.7 degrees. We were supposed to reduce our emissions worldwide in 45% between 2010 and 2030. And the targets for now will give us an increase of 16%. And it's not only a climate crisis, of course. We do have wars. We do have several conflicts. We have problems with the distribution of resources, with inequity, and therefore, but the climate crisis is definitely one of the big three. But then we have a biodiversity crisis with an irreversible loss of species. And then we have a resources crisis because our ecological footprint is far beyond the limits of what nature renews every year. And of course, we have a lack of fair distribution of these resources along the different parts of the planet, with a lot of countries and continents suffering from the problems of climate, and without the resources to adapt to and particularly to have a decent quality of life. So living in extreme poverty and with a lot of with no hope in many countries. So let's take a look a little bit at the climate crisis. It's amazing how we are actually spewing 152 million tons of man-made global warming pollution into the atmosphere every 24 hours. So we usually talk about an open sewer when we talk about water pollution, but in this case, we're treating the atmosphere even worse. So it's really something that we need to stop urgently, since we are under a climate emergency. Where do these greenhouse gases come from? Well, we have all these activities based on society that believes in continuous growth, which is basically impossible in a finite planet. And And therefore, from industrial agriculture to industrial processes, coal mining, coal plants to produce electricity in a very inefficient way,